How's it going everyone? I'm here with a quick video today showing my process for creating an animation scene. This is the method I use for my own animation. My process doesn't use any paid for programs, just Windows programs and free downloads, so anyone with a PC can do this too. Without further ado, let's get started. For my process, I start out with a traditional pencil and paper working on an A3 sheet. Nothing fancy, it's just a personal preference. Don't worry about it being rough, we can fix that later on with ease. After scanning my drawings on my computer through Microsoft Paint and touching up any rough bits from the scan, I come to GIMP for most of the work, which is a free photo editing software available online through their website at www.gimp.com for a free download. I enjoy its ease of use and flexibility with what I want to do. After opening the background in GIMP, it's time to select the white and remove it with the Select Colour tool, leaving the line work on a transparent background to colour in and work on. It also lets you see any bits you've missed so you can clean it up further. Once I'm happy with my design, it's time to take a little bit of colour to the background. For help with colouring in the scene, I'm taking a scene from before this one to give my colouring some consistency. After using the eyedrop tool to get the colour I want, I can return to my new image and block fill everything I need. Again, nothing too crazy is needed here. You could do the colour on a different layer if you want to come back to it, but the fill tool works just fine for what we're doing. If you notice any extra parts being coloured in like this, don't worry. We can easily fix this by grabbing our pencil tool, locating any gaps in the line work, and filling it in like so. At this point, I'll skip through a little bit just so you can see the process firsthand, see all of the colours starting to take their place in the picture. Some of this will be hidden in the final frame anyway, so we don't have to worry too much about the top and the sides. I just like to add little details on the cars, things like window shine lines, and a slightly lighter colour inside to give the effect of a little bit of glass in the car relative to the bushes outside. You can go as far with this as you want to. If you want to add a little bit more detail than I'm doing, that's absolutely fine, but this will do just for the purpose of this tutorial. We will be adding some extra shading in later, so it doesn't have to look like a masterpiece right now. Simple block colours is okay. With that all done, we can now see that we're missing a top corner, so it's on to the next step of the background. Adding depth is a nice little trick that's really easy to pull off. I went back to the original paper from the first picture and drew and scanned in the top corner of the picture, which I've already filled in with a bit of colour in GIMP. The sides look a little rough, but they won't be seen once we bring it over to our main image. Open up a new layer for your image to go on, making sure to put it behind the first layer. Once you've done that, you can copy and paste your houses over and fit them wherever you want behind the wall and trees. Once you're happy with your placement, it's time to make the houses seem a little bit more far away. So by clicking on Filters and Gaussian Blur, we can change the scale to blur this out a little bit, giving it the impression that it's not as close to us as the foreground parts. After that, we can spruce up the picture with some very simple block colour shading. I like to use a little shade lighter or darker than the original colour, which gives us something like this. Now it's time to add our character. So now it's time to put our background into our final frame. I've got the pieces ready for our character with this shot using the same principles from the background steps, so now we can add the background on a separate layer behind. This will take a little bit of resizing with the scale tool to get correct, but it gives you some extra wiggle room to get what you want in focus, so it's worth having a play around to see what looks best. Once I'm happy with that, it's time to make my character move. This is just a really simple animation piece of about 3 or 4 seconds, so we only really need a few movements in a few frames. By copying our body part to a separate layer, we can move along the lines just slightly to give a little bit of arm movement for the thumbs up we're going to do. Editing this can be a little bit tricky, but don't worry about it being too rough. This is just a tutorial, and for the frame itself is only going to be about a fraction of a second long, so it doesn't have to be perfect. Use the original body for reference on where your arm should be going, and then you should end up with 2 separate body pieces that have a different arm. Make sure to line up each body layer so your image looks fluid when it's animated. You can do this by zooming in and using the move tool with the arrow keys to make sure it's pixel perfect. After that, I can start to export frames by saving each image and moving or rotating pieces like the head and the thumb. I can make enough frames to rearrange into something animated. Take your time to move each part as slow as you need. Slower movements will result in more fluid animation. My animation style is pretty choppy by design, so I don't need all that many frames, but you can definitely add more if you wish. Once I have all the frames I need, I upload them all into Windows Video Editor, which comes as a standard on updated Windows PCs and laptops. It's very basic software, but it's perfect for this little scene, so we can use it no problem. Rearrange your frames in the order that you want to see them move, and you can even repeat frames to make things happen more than once. By adding 2 nodding frames in, and then again in reverse order, I can make the head move up and down as many times as needed. The final step is to play around with the duration of each frame for your desired results. I like to keep my frames at a 0.1 or 0.05 seconds each so they're not too slow. Once I'm happy with that, we can play it back to see the finished clip. The best part of this is the more of these frames and clips that you do, the more elements you have to go back on for other parts of animation later, which makes the job a little bit easier. If I want to add a JMO nod now, I always have these frames in GIMP to go back to. All I have to do if I want to make it a different scene is change the background using the first few steps from the start of the video. Now we can finish up the video and see how the clip plays. And there we have a finished clip, just a really simple little beginner's clip, quick and simple little turn and nod with a thumbs up. Lovely. With that, that's how I make my animation. Hope you enjoyed this little step-by-step guide. I'll be happy to go a little bit deeper for some more dynamic movements, so if anyone would like to see it, drop a like on this video or let me know in the comments below. If you want to keep up to date with my animated series, subscribe to this channel to watch my pilot episode that's out now, with more episodes coming in the next few weeks and months. If you have your own animation, drop them in the comments below so I can have a watch of them for myself too. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.
So how you doing, lads? You up to anything cush? JMO lad, how you doing? Is he okay?
He's just wrecked off the sesh on Friday.
But it's Tuesday.